And even analog is digital, right? That implies technology. What about just sticking your feet in the sand? It's like we're just missing so much about what is human for what is convenient and what is entertaining. Dopamine hits. Maybe AI is our freedom. Maybe AI is how we get ourselves off all these machines so we can just walk outside a little bit more because we saved ourselves 3 hours on the creative process and we can turn our screen off.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode here on Creative Journey Podcast. I am A.B. Wright, and with me, we have Will Power. How we doing, sir?
What's going on? Doing excellent. How you doing?
You already know. You already know how today is going. There's no cap coming through this microphone. I am frustrated. I am frustrated that I'm having to use the FaceTime camera on my Mac. Trying to set up the Sony cam, and something is going on with Image Edge from Sony. And yeah, I think it's not necessarily time for a new Mac, but I tell you, it does give me a reason to update this Intel based MacBook Pro for a M1 Pro or Max or M2 Pro or Max. So we shall see, but that's how my day is going.
Only thing that goes bad faster than technology is food.
Yeah. And I think I like both. So
and we use them both every day.
Yeah. Gotta pick my battle today. Oh my goodness. So how was the week coming off of last week? I know you had some interviews and some things that you didn't quite like how the outcome was, but surely there were some lessons learned from that. And I don't know how that played into this week, but how was the week, and did that have any play into that?
Yeah, it's been a pretty good week. I found some renewed energy around outreach. I've set a goal to interview 100 food and beverage founders so I can better understand my ideal customer and how I can actually address pain points that they really feel, not just necessarily the ones that I currently have the skills for. I think one of the lessons I've learned in the last year as an entrepreneur is if you only stay focused on what you already know, you're not going to go very far, because probably plenty of other people already know that. It's about finding the right problem to solve and then getting real creative about the solution. So I'm going back into that research phase just so I can really understand the people I truly want to help. So I started some outreach at the start of this week. I feel good about having that project up. And I looked into, within the same organization, perhaps an opportunity to partner with them, educating their young entrepreneurs on data, which is, it's funny. I keep on trying to run away from this background I have in data and science and analytics. And then, of course, it's the thing I can speak the most easily because I have the most experience with it. So when people hear that, their ears perk up. Nobody wants to do data. I'm trying to be a cool creative like everybody else, but it's like, oh, data. Nobody wants to touch that. I need help. It's like, okay, so maybe that's some signal on the entrepreneurial journey. So that's been the week. It's been productive. It's not been everything I wanted it to be, but definitely good progress. I would say I'm hitting 1% better every day this week, which is good enough for me. How about yours?
Oh man, where do I start? This week was, I won't say necessarily a quiet week for creating. I just really dialed in maybe the scripting side of creativity this week. So I sat and did a lot of writing, a lot of note taking, and a lot of listening to a couple of other podcasters specifically that just shared some insights on basically just people getting started on their journey. So I just was listening to some of the key things that they were sharing and just making notes on that and really trying to develop our show with, what aspects of those topics will we really hit on, so that we are not only just sharing our journey, sharing things like what is going on in our week, but actually able to really pull from the guests that will be on the show to really hit home on the things that will help those that are scared to jump, scared to start, or those that are hitting a roadblock and don't quite know how to pivot and go through that roadblock, or go around the roadblock, or whatever it is they've got to do to be on the other side of that roadblock. So that's what I've been doing all week, and I think that was necessary. It was necessary to understand the direction, the direction of the show. So
I love it.
that was my week, man.
Have you ever read anything by Stephen Pressfield? Do you read much?
I do read. I do read. I'm glad you said that, because that was part of what I was going to probably talk about a little bit later. Is yeah, I do read. I find myself finding the information that I need specifically. So I won't necessarily continue the challenge of, I've got to read a book a month, every couple of months. If I get the gem out of the book that I need early on, or if I find the chapters and find the pages that answer the questions that I have right now, then that's it. I put it down. I work on the things that I need to work on, that I got the information in the book from or about, and then I go from there. But yes, I do read books. I love books, and the fact that they can give me the information that I need, and it's just so much information in them.
Yeah, for sure. And I get hung up on that. That's that. Stephen Pressfield, Turning Pro, I think is
okay.
Yeah. There's Do the Work, which is kind of about the creative process and how you just have to show up every day. And then I was just put on to Turning Pro, which is about going from an amateur to a professional, and the mindset shift that comes with deciding to be a proper pro, not a hobbyist kind of thing. So that is a book I have not actually picked up yet. I've been reading kind of cliff notes, and I definitely want to pick that up. I feel like that could be a good one to touch on for ourselves and our audience. When you mentioned the roadblocks, that's kind of where that jumped into my brain.
Sure.
Getting around.
Yeah, one of the books I have is actually right here in front of me. It's called Thinker Toys. I have a car enthusiast that turned me on to that last year. I want to say it's by Machako. Yeah, Michael Machako. Called Thinker Toys, and it gave me from the jump, just gave me a different perspective to look at how to get the information that I need quickly. And because of that, and the exercises that it illustrates in that, to let me see what my mindset is, and honestly, because of that book, helped me channel more energy toward this show right here. It's because it let me see that there is, and there was a purpose at that time, and is a purpose right now for where my energy is really taking me. So therefore, whatever is helping me direct that energy, or direct my energy to this, those are the things that I'm reading. So that was a great book. And I only read, a chapter of that book, but it gave me so much information to move forward. I haven't had to read anything else just yet.
I love that. I'll have to check it out.
So, well, we want to just dive right into the topic today. I feel like
let's talk about robots.
Let's talk about robots. All right, we'll just get right on into it.
Robots will take away your need to read. That's the headline. You never have to read a book again because the robot will do it for you.
Jeez.
ChatGPT put Cliff Notes out of business day one.
Oh my gosh. That is scary. That is scary. No different than going back to the assembly line by Ford, which was to build cars faster and more consistently and more concisely. But what I can say about that is it didn't necessarily put people out of their jobs from the beginning, because it still took the human touch. It still took the human eye to see if the cars passed the quality control measures. And I'll say this with AI, Chat GTP, GPT. That's great. Yeah, that's it. I always get that switched around.
I don't actually know what that stands for.
Yeah, we may have to ask it, what does it stand for? But all that to say, to me is nothing to be scared of even now, to think of it in the same manner as the assembly line, is because it is a useful tool if you use it for what you can use it for. And as a creative, it's a bonus, because if you're stuck on ideas of what to create, what to talk about, you can get some good talking points. You can get a good script developed from that just by asking the right questions. You do want to be specific. Just broad, generic questions are going to give you broad, generic answers. Not saying that won't help at all, but if you have specific questions, now you can get real concise answers to what your question is, and that is helpful. Don't use that to just churn and burn on information without checking the facts, doing your due diligence. That's my only take from it, or not my only take, but that's like my big take, because it does seem that people that have not been doing content creation for a while, and maybe some that has, I don't know, but definitely it seems like the consensus of those that want to get into the space that haven't quite found the reason to, thinks that is the reason, because it's just going to voila, create your content start to finish. All you have to do is publish it. And you're quickly going to find out that it's all cap. And I ain't talking about the letters. I'm talking about...
Oh man, hey, I cannot disagree. I'm reminded of I don't know if you were hip to like when the big data boom happened back in like 2013, 2014 maybe.
Yes.
And then it's like suddenly everybody's talking about big data is the future. Big data is everything. When we have all this data and all this cloud processing, industry is going to change. The whole world is... If you're not on the big data train, you're out of business. And slowly but surely you realize the initial examples of, oh my God, look at this superlative ability to churn out whatever data analysis you need doesn't do anything to help you understand your actual customer, how to make different moves in the market. And half the time it's like 90% of data analysis is cleaning up the data, right? And now we have AI working on data that is not remotely clean. Like there is no management of what goes into that input before it kicks out an output. And I also think about how bad people are at Googling things today. Like we don't even have... People cannot tell what is BS and what isn't when they're reading stuff on the internet off of Google results. So now we've just given them like mainline BS. It'll tell you whatever you want and you never have to validate it. So
well, if you're not validating if you're not validating or critically thinking, I feel sorry for you. I feel bad for people, just like... Okay, let's just get into crypto real quick. Let's just jump right into FTX and SBF. Now, I'm not going to get into...
Bankman-Fried.
I don't need to put on my tinfoil hat right now because I'm not really going there, so I don't need the alphabets needing to look me up for anything. All I'm going to say is there's What?
The
All I'm
alphabets. The
gonna say
alphabets are
is,
always looking. The alphabets are
hey,
plugged into ChatGPT right now. Sorry, go ahead.
hey. All I'm gonna say is that's a fact, though. All I'm gonna say is, look, if you do your homework and if you begin to understand how crypto actually works, how Bitcoin
Mm,
actually works, they have this thing called white paper. White paper is not anything new. We've that's been in the IT industry for a long time, where businesses churn out white papers in the IT space to give you information about the company, about the project that is on the horizons and what it is about, and open your eyes to an opportunity to either invest in it or just understand how it works and be able to use it as a resource. So,
and bump up your stock price a little bit.
and there you go. So if we understand how crypto works, excuse me, if we understand how the blockchain works, we understand the people that's in the space for years, then we would understand that someone that just magically appears out of thin air that hasn't been in the space the last 3 to 5 to 10 to 12 years, all of a sudden is the subject matter expert, and you're just doling your money, pouring your money in as a
Mm,
get rich quick scheme off of the backs of celebrities and other financial gurus in their
mm.
traditional spaces that think that they know how crypto works, and you're just throwing your money in, you're throwing all your chips in on that. I can't feel bad for you. I can't feel
Do
bad
you,
for you.
do you think a similar thing is happening with AI right now? Actually, you just gave me an idea. There might be a really nice BS meter. If we see commercials for AI on the Super Bowl this year, it has
Mm.
reached peak BS. If it's
Mm-hmm.
not till next year, that's when it's reached peak BS. So once we see an open AI commercial on the Super Bowl run,
Wow.
that's when you know, all right, check back in 2 years, it's going to be collapsing into a heap of dust.
Wow. What would it say? What would it look like?
That's a good question.
Wonder what it would look like.
Yeah. Might
Hmm.
be a little AI, little robot that
A
looks
bot?
human. I don't know. Yeah. This entire
Uh,
commercial was generated by AI, will be the tagline at the end. It'll have hyper realistic human figures doing something. And this whole script is created
oh,
by ChatGPT.
oh yeah. So basically, all of the actors will be AI generated.
Yeah.
What's
That
that?
brings
What's
me to
that tech
another
called
interest.
again? I forget what that is
Which
called.
one? Oh,
Um,
the visuals?
yeah, the what is it called? It's one with
Augmented
Tom
reality?
Cruise. No, not augmented reality. Well, in a sense, but not that. What in the heck is it called? It's a technology that's out that basically you basically mimic the look of someone else. It's a lookalike.
Oh, uh,
Um,
deep fake?
deep fake. There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, just be a
yeah,
big deep fake commercial. Expensive deep fake AI commercial for
yeah,
the Super Bowl. Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Though, and this is so, oh man, I could go on this topic forever. AI has been around since the 30s or the 40s. That was when it was first invented, like
Mm-hmm.
1930s, 1940s during wartime, right? And just now we're starting to see it at a point where it's surprising people with how good it is, right?
Mm.
And you had mentioned before, like the thing you led with was it's nothing to be afraid of. And I think that's so interesting that the overwhelming response to AI by people who don't understand how it works
Mm-hmm.
has just been fear. They see
Mm-hmm.
it as like a threat. Um, and what I'm noticing is the threat response is directly related to how well the AI can do the thing that you claim to be your primary job.
Mm.
So like
Mm. Yeah.
I've heard so many graphic designers talking about, well, I'm tired of design. I want to get more into directing. I want to get more into that strategic position. And then here comes a tool that you can direct all day long for basically free.
Mhm.
And people start flipping out. It's like, that's not real creativity. This is terrible. And I mean, there is a point to be made on the whole plagiarism side. But if you can get past that threat response and start to understand what it can and, more importantly, cannot do, that's how you leverage it to do what you're already doing better, instead of just saying it's scary, and then you end up not even having a job on the manager floor in the assembly line scenario, where people who learned how the machine worked became managers of plants instead of just being the person pressing the button.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. One quick thing I did with it when I first used OpenAI, Chat GPT. Man, I can't talk all of a sudden again.
They're gonna have to give it a cute name. It's gonna need like an Alexa or something soon.
Call it Chatbot.
Chad.
I don't know. Chad. Oh Lord. One of the things I did just to see if it worked well was that I took one of my YouTube videos, a DIY video, and I just asked it how to perform a specific DIY. I think it was changing a windshield wiper on BMW 535i.
Nice car.
Thank you, appreciate it. And it gave great steps, or it gave a good outline. It gave a great outline to follow, and it really is simple. It's introducing the problem, introducing the solution, and introducing the steps to completing the evolution of replacing the wipers. Now, it missed specifically the fact that you can't just raise the arms to do it. You either have to do one of two things. You either have to put it in service mode, which there's a way to put it in service mode, and it automatically lifts the wipers up, and they sit there until you change it, and then you release them from service mode, and you go from there. Or you do the old school trick, where you turn the car on. You don't have to start the engine, but just turn the car on, auxiliary 2 or 1, whichever one. But turn the wipers on, turn them off real quick as soon as it gets to the upright position. And then you do it from there. And then, of course, when you turn the car back on, or accessory mode, I said auxiliary, I meant to say accessory mode. Turn to accessory mode again, then they'll just flop back down to the resting position.
Is that what the ACC stands for on the keyhole?
Yes, that's accessory. So it turns on all the accessories. Yeah.
Wow.
You have
what
an
year is
accessory
this?
1. This is a 13.
Ooh, nice car.
But but here's the thing. So it's push to start. But even on your normal stocks where you have an actual key to put into the hole, it gives you accessory on and then start. So you have accessory, just gives you the basic functions like your radio. You can turn your parking lights on, stuff like that. Accessory 1 is that. Accessory 2, now you give a little bit more power to some of the other things. You're probably able to turn the actual headlights on versus the parking lights and a couple other things. You probably should hear the, I don't have to get into all that detail, but you have a little bit more power to other stuff, and then of course starting the car. But either way, it misses those key points. So if I just tell you those steps to change the wipers, you're going to be looking at me like, bro, you don't know what the hell you are talking about, because you can't just lift it up. You gave me incomplete instructions. And that's why I say you have to use it for the foundation that it is. It's giving you the pathway from going from start to finish. But there's intricate details in there that you have to figure out what's the pieces that are missing. So if you're using it just to churn out content from putting in the question, copy and paste, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work. You're going to be an unreliable source, and you're quickly obsolete.
Yeah. And that tangent you took is actually a good example of how you can best use it, right? Because you're not going to get anywhere, just like you said, trying to pretend to be a domain expert going through ChatGPT, but you already know everything about this car, and you can use ChatGPT to get you out of analysis paralysis mode. Well, what do I highlight? What don't I? It just kicks out an outline, and you skip that step of not knowing, and it says, oh, hey, well, okay, you step 1, 2, 3, 4, and you think, okay, that looks pretty good. I put this here. I might explain this differently. Oh, I remember this part's a little tricky. I'll adjust that. So it's like you're using it to accelerate your domain expertise and your ability to create content that works. You are not going to become a domain expert. You're not going to act like you know things you don't know to any level of, because the minute somebody like you sees that, you'll say, well, hold on. What are you talking about? That didn't work. That's not how it goes.
Yeah, you wasted my time. I needed to, I'm in a downpour of rain trying to get these things changed. I'm at Advanced Auto Parts. They have nobody available to come out and change it. I got to do it myself, and you just wasted 10 minutes of my time. I will definitely thumbs down and not watch your channel ever again.
That's another interest, because I don't know if you found the same. Sometimes when I'm on YouTube, I find that the videos with the fewest views have the quickest answer, because they don't spend all that time with the BS up front about, here's what we're going to do today. Let's get into it. And before you check that out, here's our sponsor, yada, yada. It's like, you give me a 3-minute video that gives me step by step, right? Just 1, 2, 3. All right, quick, go do it. I love those videos, and half the time they're not getting any views. So I wonder if ChatGPT is only studying the people that throw all the BS up front. It would be curious to see if, like, folks, well, and those videos get more views, I guess, because sometimes people are more interested in looking at high production value, cute YouTube studios and actually figuring out what they're trying to do. I don't know. That's curious to me.
I don't know, but that's a great question. I don't know where it's pulling the information from. If a company is going to have more influence on what information it gets, or if it's really going to get out there and just pull from all places, from Reddit, from Google, from YouTube, from whatever. Or if it has anything to do with the notoriety of the channel or internet. That's a great question. What I can say is, I hope that it's finding the channel that does have seemingly the best information. And I don't know how it's dissecting that. If it's going, let's just say, if I type in how to change windshield wipers on BMW 535i, my video pops up to be one of the top 2 videos, if not the number 1. I don't remember where it falls, but it is definitely one of the first 2 videos that pops up. And based on that, because there's nothing, unless it's pulling from, here's the other question, unless it's going through the video and pulling from closed captions.
The transcripts?
I don't know. Yeah, from the transcript. I'm not sure where it's pulling from the information, because nothing, of course, is typed out. That's a good question.
Because videos have SEO now, because Google figured that out. They said, all right, if we can get the transcript information to our search engine, then we understand what's in the content of this video, and we can promote SEO that way. So that's actually one of the reasons that when you do videos well, if it's part of your overall SEO strategy, it can rank way higher than even the text-based responses, because you have the transcripts on there. So I imagine ChatGPT is studying that. It's also self-learning, right? Based on when people use it, they get the thumbs up, thumbs down. So it's like, okay, this is closer to the answer you wanted. But there are huge questions around what else is it doing in the background? Because I heard something about even the people that developed it now aren't always entirely sure how it's deciding which answer it gives. It's like, oh, that's a curious behavior. We didn't tell you to do that. How did you figure that out? And that's where it gets into the kind of weird territory.
Yeah. Well, I said, I think
self-aware AI.
Yeah. Scary. Not. No, I think that, again, as a content creator, I feel, just based on my own experiences in various searches, I have found that it is a good way to figure out how you're going to go from A to Z in sharing the content, where to truncate stuff, take stuff out, period, and then just how to
Mm-hmm.
shorten the gap between what the viewer didn't know or what the viewer came to find out and what they now
Mm-hmm.
know. And we talk about it all the time amongst DIYers is that we want to tell you how to get from start to finish as quickly as possible. However, we can't cut out we can't cut down a 10-minute video or 9-minute video to 4 or 5 if there are steps in there that are critical to getting the job done. It just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to go at it a strategy from how do I get this down to a certain number of minutes, make it as long as possible to give the as much information as you possibly can. There's just some things that will be there. There's some things that won't be there. But hopefully, because we're not perfect, hopefully we will get you the basic. We'll get you the necessary steps. Like I said again in the DIY, we're trying to get you the necessary steps to do it. As I mentioned to you before, the whole reason I created one of the main reasons I created the channel was to give back to the automotive community because I spent so many years looking for information on how to perform DIYs on my cars. And I learned from myself what were the things I would commonly do, what was the steps that I was looking for, and what were the things that I wished were there that weren't there. How difficult it was, maybe the cost savings or any of that, maybe or maybe not, or maybe some alternatives to where oh shoot, I didn't know I could have gone online to this website and save some money. Oh, I didn't know if I had this kind of account with the dealership, I would save money. Hell, I didn't know if I just built a relationship with my BMW dealership that I would have a better experience. It's not as bad. It's not a stealership as a lot of folks in my community would call it. I haven't had that experience that you're saying. So, those are the things that I would learn, and that's what I would end up sharing so that people would learn from that. But like I said, from my own experience, that's what I learned from pertaining to being able to script and get the content out in a manner that you get the information as fast and as concise as possible.
Yeah.
And that's where I think
and that's
ChatGPT will help.
Yeah, right. And it won't help you again with all the other stuff, the human aspect. So like you could be the best equipped guy to help folks in your area with BMWs, and ChatGPT will get your ideas in a cohesive form, but you still got to put your own ideas in there because it's not going to have any idea about your experience in wherever, unless you happen to write a blog post and for some reason it picks up that blog post and somebody gets hyper specific on your area. Then maybe it can just plagiarize your entire blog post and claim the credit. But I've actually been a little bit resistant. So I consider myself a writer, right? So that's one of my skills. Mid-Journey, all cool to me. I'll use it all day because I can't really draw or design worth of crap on my own. I understand the components of design, but I can't put pen to paper and come out with something beautiful, right? But when it comes to writing, I feel like that's a craft that I own, I'm proud of. So I've actually been resistant to use ChatGPT to write things for me because I'm actually afraid of the scenario where I become reliant on it and I forget how to come to a blank page and bust out something that's actually real to me. And also losing my voice and like kind of the templated, like I like to play with form and structure. I like to play with all different parts of what I'm writing. So I've actually been resistant to use it in my domain of expertise. And I guess I mentioned that just to hear from your perspective. Do you think that's reasonable? What are your thoughts on that? Am I tripping? Like, should I be using this in a different way? Am I missing an opportunity here?
No. Here's what I'll say to that. When you said losing, your natural capabilities to write, I hear that as the natural capability to remember a phone number and type it out if you don't have your cell phone. Quick story, I'm in Okinawa, Japan, and I can't remember if my phone died or what happened. If I left it at home, I cannot remember. But I get to work. I need to call my wife then. And I cannot get in my phone. I don't remember any numbers whatsoever. And I think at this time we had Vonage. So I don't know if you recall Magic Jack and Vonage and the services that were VoIP when you went, that's voice over internet protocol. When you were, overseas, things like that, that is how we communicated back to our families in the States. And of course, when you're local on base, you can dial the access number, and then of course you can dial the outbound number, which would be the number that is like a stateside number. I could not remember it for the life of me. From that day forward, I said, hey, I'm typing every number by hand so I can get back in the routine of remembering numbers. Because I said, I do not want to ever be in the position again where I don't even know my own number. So when you say that, yes, I definitely understand what you mean, because no, you don't want to become so dependent and it becomes second nature to jump on something like that, and then you have lost your creative sauce. My take on that would be using it as a resource and doing that honestly sparingly. And what I'll say is, I feel like us creators that love the craft will stick to the craft, and if we find ourselves needing to use it, we'll use it. If it's just one of those days, because we have those days, it's one of those days we just for some reason can't piece together the topic or piece together some content. Maybe that's the day I use it. Maybe it isn't, but maybe that's the day I use it. But if I'm really trying to churn out, here's where businesses will really take advantage of it. I'm really churning out information and content like that, and I'm making money off of doing that. Why the hell do I care to be creative? I got a whole team designed for that. So as a creator, yeah, I say stick to your guns on being creative, learn and hone your craft, so that if and when your computer shuts down, your phone shuts down, whatever, you don't have access to it, you're actually able to recall information, piece together information, and do what the hell you need to do to create your content. Because you don't want to, have yourself in a position to now you're a zombie, basically.
It's true. It's true. I like that. And it's not going to be free forever.
That part.
It's not going to be. We are in that glory day when everything's just super accessible because they need you to help them build a better product. I feel like a lot of people don't pay attention to that. It's the more you use it, the faster they're able to turn it into something they can monetize and say, thank you, we will take $300 a year for you to be on the service, which is still chump change compared to hiring somebody if you're using it for the right reasons, but nothing's free forever.
Yep. And that's oftentimes that's the goal. That's the goal. And you can't. They're a business. If you're looking at it from a business mind, you have to see that. That's the other thing as a creative entrepreneur that you need to develop that skill too. I think we all should have a business mind. We should have not necessarily a business background, but definitely a business mind. Gain some knowledge in these books, as we mentioned in the beginning, on just business and how economics works. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. You don't have to be an expert, but just a little bit. And then you can see these things coming. And then you really just have to respect it for what it is at that point. It's not so much being mad that something costs X, Y, or Z, and then being mad that stuff has gone up, just like post-pandemic. Most of us that understood economics realized that flooding the economy with cash in the consumers' pockets that are going to go spend it on things that didn't necessarily need, and then put the economy in a crisis, i.e. the housing market, 2008, current market, 2023, and I'll say the car market too, the way it's been the last couple of years, 21 till now. Well, then you understand. You understand there's going to be a downturn. You understand what is expected to happen. So inflation is bound. It's bound to happen because it has to. It has to correct. The economy all the time has to correct after long periods of being on an upturn or bullish and long periods on a downturn, bearish. So get that business background, get some of that business information, so then you'll understand, and then you'll see it coming. And then what you do, you figure it out from there. Give yourself room to figure it out from there.
Yeah. I might piss some people off with this statement, but I think that's the difference between an entrepreneur and a freelancer. Freelancers, they don't necessarily need to fill in as many gaps, but if you really feel that entrepreneurial spirit, I think that's a different mindset. It's a different skill set. And you realize there are so many different holes you need to fill in your knowledge in order to succeed as someone who wants to grow business, not just work for themselves. Those are two very, very different things.
That is.
Freelancers should still understand. I think everybody should understand business. There's too much ignorance around the simplest things where people just get mad about stuff that's really just second nature. If you understand, like, oh, that's how economics work. Okay, prices are going to go up. You don't sit at a table going, why are prices so high? You think more considerately about what's actually happening. But
correct.
That's a conversation for another day. ChatGPT, why does inflation happen? Nothing. I'm just being stupid. Just being silly. Ask it anything. See what pops out.
Hey, I was waiting on Siri to answer.
I guess. So funny. Oh man. I've trained myself to be careful about certain words because sometimes I will say that word and then my laptop or my phone pipes up and it's, oh, that's right. You're always listening to me. I forgot about that. Let me censor myself to make sure my phone doesn't jump into the conversation. We are in a weird period in history.
We are.
Everything corrects itself.
I'm trying to enjoy using technology, but also trying to make parts of my life a little bit more analog, like going back to my chrono watches. Going back to my nice timepieces. I've got, with the exception of them being, investments, I have watches that I have not worn in forever because I got this Apple Watch, upgraded a couple of times, and I just was like, I am not upgrading this thing again. But what do I do when I start working out? Oh yeah, get them calories in, get motivated. Oh, you worked out 5 times you got 5 workouts in a 7-day period. Here's an award.
Here's your gold star.
Yeah. Here we go. I'm feeling good. I feel like a kid. I'm like,
gamifying life, man. Gamifying every part of life. That's I don't know. This is an interesting note to end on because it's like the quicker we can get with the digital, maybe the more opportunity there is for the analog stuff we're really supposed to be connected with. And even analog is digital, right? That implies technology. What about just sticking your feet in the sand? It's like we're just missing so much about what is human for what is convenient and what is entertaining. Dopamine hits. Yeah. Maybe AI is our freedom. Maybe AI is how we get ourselves off all these machines so we can just walk outside a little bit more because we saved ourselves 3 hours on the creative process and we can turn our screen off.
Yeah. And you remember, I can't remember exactly what I read. I think it was a blog, and then again, it might have been a reel or something. But
Hmm.
within the last couple of weeks, I was reading something where they talked about going on a trip several years ago, and they went on the trip. They recorded like everything. You know what? I know who it was. Shout out to Peter McKinnon. He said
Hmm.
it in one of his videos. He was talking about the journey of creating film, um, and going to all these different places and enjoying the fact that he was creating content.
Hmm.
But he had to take a break from doing that because he was doing a lot of stuff that he'd look at the photos, look at some of the things, but not really remember the experience.
Hmm.
And he took a break from creating to go and travel and enjoy the experience. And
Hmm.
I was like, man, that is so true. It is so true. I think back to the last 5 years of going to a lot of car events, cars and coffees, car shows, um, races, and the whole nine. And I've got gaps in between events because I had the camera up the whole time.
Hmm.
I don't remember meeting X, Y, or Z because I had the camera up the whole time, unless we still talk now. I remember meeting people in 2020 during some car events, even just amidst the pandemic happening, the shutdown happening,
Yeah.
and met them. And it wasn't until 2022, looking through footage, that I realized I passed them. I recorded them in 2020.
Hmm.
Had no idea.
Hmm.
So yeah, we got to be more analog. Put our feet in the sand.
Yeah.
Enjoy the sand. Remember what it actually feels like,
Hmm.
not just what it looks like, what we heard it looked like.
Hmm. What it looked like on that Instagram photo you took 5 years ago. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh
Uh,
man, those
presence.
those Instagram posts where they done took a picture of a sand, you think they're in Seychelles Island, and they right outside in the at the pond. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Come on. Let's
Hashtag
get with it.
travel.
Hashtag
Hashtag
travel.
freedom.
Oh man. Oh bro. Oh. Okay. All right. That's it. I'm done. I'm done.
Oh, okay.
I'm done. What else you got for me, man? What else you got for me? I know you got to get prepped for another show. What
Mm,
do you want to leave with us today? Anything you want to share for
presence,
the
man.
creators, man? Yeah, there we go.
I think that presence right there is everything. I think that's what we all lose sight in when we're trying to think about where do I want my business to be in 5 years? What's my 90-day plan? All of that. It's like presence.
Hmm.
Just remember what it feels like to have bare feet on the ground.
Yeah,
So check
feet
in with
in the
yourself.
sand. Mm.
Mm,
Live in the moment.
yeah,
Live in the
unless it's
moment.
1 degree outside, then maybe save it for next week.
We are negative. Are we still negative right now?
I
We
think it's supposed to go
are.
up to 10 degrees over here.
I think we're supposed to be at 8 today. We were -2 this
Oof.
morning. We're at 6 right now. So it's feeling really cool outside.
The difference 100 miles make. What you got to leave us on?
Well, first off, yeah, feet in the sand. Feet in the
Mm,
sand. And what I will say is realize that as you continue or especially start your journey, enjoy the transition. One of the biggest things that I am grateful that I did is that when I got out of the military and before starting school, I had that transitional period of about 2 months, 2.5 months, I believe, to absolutely do only the things I wanted to do. If I wanted to do nothing, which I felt so guilty just in the first week of
Mm.
doing nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually within the next month, I realized, okay, I've already made these plans. School is starting. All these things are happening. Let me enjoy this moment and be in the moment, feet in the sand, because when I hit the ground running, I want to remember what that feels like so that I can get to a point that I can do that again. Because when you start grinding, when you start the journey, there's going to be sacrifices that are made. I want to talk about that in another episode. I actually wrote that down too. The sacrifices for
Mm-hmm.
realistic sacrifices that a creative will make. That may not be the title, but something along that line. But definitely remembering that you're going to make some sacrifices that your family's not going to understand. You may not even understand right now. Family's not going to understand, and you're going to have to do some things to let some people go, leave some things behind to really make a difference and make impact. But for now, get your feet in the sand. Remember what it feels like and go.